everybody and welcome to this video, and today I'm going over my new game called the Infinite Archive. And if you're seeing this video at the time it's being launched or at the week it's being launched, this game is probably on sale on my itch.io store. Links will be in the description for everything, so you can go there and get it at a discount. Okay, so this game is called the Infinite Archive, and it's based on a book that I really like. The book is called The Midnight Library, and I am an ebook person, so I don't have the book to show you, but I can show you here on my tablet. This is it, The Midnight Library. It's a fantastic book, and it's about a girl that is kind of regretting her life choices. She's going through like a lot of things. She doesn't feel like she made the right choices in some areas of her life. She's at a certain age now, single, doesn't have like what she doesn't feel like she has great accomplishments. She just lost her job, and she feels like her life is like mediocre and she doesn't want to live that life anymore. So you get what she tries to do, right? But when she tries to not be in her life anymore, let's say, she goes into a place called the Midnight Library, which is kind of a limbo between being alive and not being alive anymore. And in this Midnight Library, it's an infinite library, and each book tells the story of a different choice she could have made. So throughout the book, she goes throughout the story, she goes through the library, choosing different books and living those lives as if she would have chosen that particular outcome. So she goes back to a point in where, let's say, she was choosing her career and then she chose something different, and what's her life like with that new choice. And so she goes through a lot of different possibilities that her life could have had. And I like that concept a lot. And I decided to make a game based on it. So it's called the Infinite Archive. And let's go through it and you see how it relates to the book. By the way, if you haven't read the book, please do, because it's amazing. The story is really great. The lessons you learn through the book are really awesome. I think you're going to like it. Okay, so I talk here about what's the Infinite Archive, and let's go through the gameplay. Let's see how it works. To play this game, you need a journaling like setup, paper, pen, a notebook, a pencil, whatever it is that you're going to use. The rule set, this pocketbook, of course, 2d6s, 1d10, and 1d20. That's it. So we're going to roll for location, and we're going to create a character. What's location? Location is what's our archive. So the book I mentioned is the Midnight Library, so it's a library. But in this game, you can have a lot of other locations. And the book makes references to that as well, but I'm not going to spoil anything. So you can have a library, a records label shop, clothing store, art gallery, map emporium, a pawn shop, a video rental shop, farmer's market. There's a lot of things. There's even a zoo here, a bar, a car dealership. And the idea is your character is going through like some type of life-changing, some type of turn around in her or his life, and it takes him or her to this place, whatever it is that we roll. And on that place, he's going through different items, trying to live a life based on different choices he or she could have made in the past. So in the library, obviously, we could have books like publications. In the record labels, you're going to have like discs, maybe CDs, maybe cassettes. You decide what's the item your character is going through to live those lives. Just like in the book, the main character goes through different books to find different outcomes for her story. So we roll for location and we create a character. So I have rules here for character creation, and I also have tables. So if you don't want to come up with a character all of your own in your head, which you could, you can roll here to define the age, to define the name, and you can come up with a background, like what is going on in the life of this person that they have to go into an archive to find the possibilities of their lives, you know? So, and I like to roll for location first. That's why I made this order inside the book, because I feel like the location kind of gives a hint about the character's personality and how you can play with them. Then we defined and role play the catalyst, which is what made your character go into the Infinite Archive. So in the book, as I said, the main character didn't want to be living her life anymore. So she tries to do something to not be in her life anymore. And that is what triggers her to go to the Midnight Library. In our case here, the Infinite Archive, or whatever you want to call based on the location that you roll. So, what's the catalyst? I do have a list of possibilities here. Yeah, here. It's a D10 list of possibilities. It could be a panic attack, overdose of poisoning, a near suffocation, or being trapped somewhere you can't get out, a violent confrontation, natural disaster, medical crisis, near fatal accident, bodily harm, near drowning, betrayals. So you can choose any of those catalysts, or you can roll for them and role play and journal what happened to the character to like during that catalyst. And you will have a background, like how is the character life, you're going to write about it, and why that catalyst like took them to that Infinite Archive. Why are they feeling like they shouldn't be in this life anymore, and they should like explore new possibilities or past possibilities that they made a different choice on. So you go into the archive and you will have a guide NPC. So in the book, the main character goes into the Midnight Library, and the guide NPC is a librarian, obviously, and it's someone from her background that she knows. So it's kind of a spirit that takes that form to help guide her, because it's like something that she knows and we will understand better. So it's basically the same concept here. What type of guide do you have? So you can roll for the demeanor, or you can just choose, as always, and like come up with what's this guide. And this guide is going to be present in the game in between possibilities. So let's go in order. So let's say we roll for the archive. It's 2d6s. So let me get my 2d6s here. And I like to use different colors so that I can assign like an order. And I usually go black and white. So I got a 5 and a 5. So 5, 5, it's here. It's a music store. Okay, so based on that, I can define what item is there to be like explored in this archive. A music store probably has music items. I would say actually that in this case, I would use instruments. So it's a music store, instrument store, not necessarily just like, CDs and stuff like that. It's an instrument store. So that's my item. So basically, my character throughout the story is going through different instruments. Playing those instruments is what takes them to that possible life that they didn't live. So they can live that, and maybe they stay there, or maybe they come back to try another instrument and go to another life. So that's how it works. So we have a music shop, and we can create a character. I'm going to roll here just for the sake of this video, but you can definitely choose whatever you want. The age can be a D10, and the interesting about age here is that it's going to play out very well in journaling on the background. Like, why is a teenage, like on the late teens, 17 to 19, having such a breakdown that they have to go and explore other possibilities of their life? What are they going through in their life that they have to do that, versus an 80 person, like 80 plus in age? What did they experience? What are their regrets, or whatever? Because as we can imagine, probably you would have more regrets the older you are. So there's more of background story to explore. This example, we have a 6, which is under 40s. So 40 to 49, that's the age of our character, and you can choose anything in between that, or you can just work at of 40. It's on their 40s. What gender can we give to our character? I'm going to roll a coin for that. Oops. Let's say this is male, this is female. If you want to use other genders, you can use different dice to choose that. That can be very interesting as well. So that's male. So it's a male character, and we can create a name here based on this table, or you can just come up with a name. I'm not very good at coming up with names on the go, so I always include a little name table on my games, just cause. So let's try it. 5 is Ellie, 3 is Elia, Elian, and 8 is Parker. So Elia Parker. Elia. Since we decided it's going to be a male, let's say Elia. So you can like adapt things here just to give you a direction. So we have our character, and we can come up with a background. Why is Elia feeling, what's going on his life? So remember, he's going to face a catalyst that is going to trigger him into a limbo between being alive and not being alive, in which he can explore the possibilities that he could have had, so that maybe he chooses to stay in one of these possibilities forever, or he comes back and lives his life with some lessons learned, or he keeps going through the archive again and again and again. In our case, a music store. So you come up with a background, and then we roll for the catalyst. What can be Elias' catalyst? 7, near fatal accident. So I'm going to say in this case a car crash. He is in his 40s, probably going to work. He faced a car crash, and I'm going to put his work into the background, like he's not satisfied at work. He feels like he's wasted like his youth on that work, like he's in his 40s, so he's probably been working for 20 years or so at least, and he feels like he wasted his life in that career. That's what is triggering him into that. And then we roll for the guide NPC, and it can be like a librarian, clerk, a curator, guardian, collector, whatever fits the location that you found. And you have a demeanor for it, that is a d6, and we got a 2. So this guide is quiet. So it's, let's say it's a clerk on a music shop, in a music store, and he's very quiet. He just observes. And the idea of the guide NPC is that, let's say Elia goes through the store, finds an instrument, plays it, leaves that possibility, and then he decides to come back, or something triggers him to come back. We have mechanics for that. And when he comes back, the guide can offer some advice, can have a conversation with him about his experience. Did he like that possibility, that possible life that he lived? Why didn't he like it? And what would he have done different, even on that new possibility that he got? So you can role play with this guide NPC like that. Then we have things like a life seed D20 roll, which is like very detailed here. And we have scene focus. So how that works, let's go back to the beginning where I have like the gameplay cycle. You choose a life path, which is on the life seed table. And this life path is going to tell you what scene you're living. So in our example, Elia is going through the music store. Let's say he finds a flute. It's the first item he decided to find. So he finds a flute and he starts to play. And this is another thing. Once your character gets to the Infinite Archive, in my case, the music store, the guide can provide the instructions so the character knows what to do. So in my case, he has to play the instrument and leave that possibility. And again, everything can be included in his backstory. So I said Elia is not satisfied with his career. He feels like he wasted like 20 years of his life on that. And he really loves music. That's part of his personality. That's why he's going to the music store. And you can play on that and be like, oh, he's choosing the flute because when he was, I don't know, 18, he played the flute, or when he was 12, he played the flute. So if he had continued with the flute and, I don't know, maybe entered our orchestra or become a teacher, a music teacher, or whatever, depending on the life seed. And the life seeds are things like the path not taken. So these explore a life that this life explored the direct consequence of a specific past decision you almost made, but you didn't. So you didn't take this path. Now you have a chance to. What are you doing? Other things are the missing element. So you're exploring how things would change if a key relationship or any event, be it positive or negative, was different. So something is missing from your story and you're living it now. Another one, the rebel's road. So you're in a life that you defied the expectation. So everybody expected something from you, or someone or a group, or you yourself expected something from yourself, and you decided, nah, let's do something else. How does that play out? So you have like the general idea, what's this life that I'm going to live in this specific path about? And I have more information about how that plays out. And on that life, you have scenes. So you can have a specific path and different scenes being lived on that specific path. You can have just one scene for each path, and it will kind of depend on the rest, like return or continue. You're going to reflect on what happened on that scene for that specific life. If you want to stay there, if you want to solve whatever problems came up on that specific life, because life is not perfect. We can go over all the possibilities, but something is always going to mess up our expectations. So do you want to stay there and solve it? Do you want to go back and try something new? So this is basically when you get here and you can keep leaving the same seed, which is basically the same path that we rolled on the D20 with different scenes. You can keep leaving different scenes, either trying to find sense. The scene focus is like a D10. Either trying to find sense on the life because you really wanted to make that work, or you're just over it. No, it was not what I expected, or yeah, that's good, but let me see other possibilities, and then you return to the library or in our case, the music store, and roll again to continue the journey. So that's basically it. You're going to have a specific path that you're going to live, that you could have lived but you didn't. Your character, I mean, they could have lived it but they didn't. Now they have the chance, and inside that life you have different scenes that could trigger you to continue there or to go back and try something different, because yeah, that was not what you wanted. That was not like it just doesn't work, you know. And for the scene focus, you also have some triggers here, like a moment of triumph. So you find yourself at a peak in that life specifically that we rolled in the seed. You find a moment of triumph. What is this moment of triumph? So for example, as I said, like he played the flute, he came to a life in which he is part of an orchestra playing the flute, and he's now being recognized like the best. How do we call someone who plays the flute? Let's say musician that play the flute. You can tell that I don't understand anything about music. Yeah, let's say he is being recognized as like the best player of the flute there is out there. What would that come up to? Or maybe he composed something in the flute and he's having a solo like show, and that's a big recognition on the area or something like that. And you have other things like a quiet reflection, so you are alone in that specific life and you're reflecting on what's happening on that life specifically. Challenge, conflict, everyday interaction. So those scenes can be very simple things, very deep things, very like peak of life things, or just like normal things of life, and then you can keep going. And the idea is you roll for the scene, you play out the scene. If the story still feels right for you, you can play another scene until your character decides to either stay on the life forever, which can be an end game, or they decide to come back and try another life because they are not satisfied with this one. And I have here the possible end games that you can get. You can get some clarity, so you explored everything that you thought you could. You have a new perspective, and you decided to solve your original problem on your like real life, let's say, on your real life, and you want to go back and I don't know, maybe quit your job, or you notice, you know what, I'm just complaining for nothing. I actually like this job. I actually like this life, and I can make the best of it. So you have some clarity on it. You get the uncertainty finish, which says that even exploring everything, it's too overwhelming. You're still overwhelmed by, life, and well, what to do now? So you didn't find another path that felt right. So you return to your real life, but you still have a problem. And what happens then? What do your character does then? So you can be lost in what if and be infinitely exploring the library. So you can end the game by saying that your character he never came back. He's there forever. Or, I don't know, for as long as his physical body in the real world would let him, be in this limbo that he's. And a forced revelation. So you find a shocking truth and you decided to return to reality. And what happens there? Maybe you escape, maybe you just understand life and you keep living life, but you don't do anything different. You just keep the same mediocre or miserable life that you had, and you don't have any new clarity, or you don't have the overwhelming anymore. You just accept, and you can of course come up with a lot of other finishes. This kind of like general options for you. So this is how the game works. And I don't know, if you're a fan of the book, I think you're going to like it. If you want a game that is also tool for reflection, maybe in your own life, that's the thing. You can create this game, you can play this game as yourself. And I have done that. That's actually the reason why I created this game. So maybe you do that, or you can just create an imaginary character, which I have done as well on my tests. And it's quite interesting to like be exploring different possibilities of life and understanding that every tiny little choice that we make has an outcome. And yeah, every little thing can turn into a whole different life. So that's what I want to share with you guys. If you like the concept of this game, if you want to try it, again, the links will be in the description. If you could spare a few seconds to like this video and comment on what you think, or if you already got the game and you're playing it and you have some feedback, you can put it here as well, but I would encourage you to put that on my itch.io page, the exact place you got this game from, because that helps me a lot more in there. But yeah, sure, leave it here too, because it's also going to help me. And thank you very much for watching this video. I see you guys next time. Bye bye.